Hello everyone, and we're back for another anti-malware test. So today in the mix is Comodo free antivirus going up against Windows 11 Defender. So let's quickly have a look see at Comodo settings. Okay, so for the general, that's about it. Obviously updates, we're using the full signatures, real-time shield, everything is enabled here, firewall, everything is set to high and block mode. Just quickly going through the rules. Okay, for host intrusion, it's enabled, block request, and it's monitoring all of this. Heap rules. Okay, and then containment set to automatically contain. These are the rules. File rating is enabled and detect PUPs as well. Okay, virus scope is enabled and it's to monitor everything and the two recognizers. Okay, script analysis. Okay, quarantine disable, and that's it. So that's quick for Comodo. Let's have a look see at Defender. And then we'll show at the end that the virtual sandbox is running at the end. I'm not going to show it now. Okay, so while we wait for the configuration tool to load, okay, so as you guys can see, same as per all the other tests. Firewall, and then the last but not least, core isolation. Just gonna go back there. Okay, so it's again on high settings. Cloud protection is highest. Okay, so that's really quick for them. I'm gonna disable the protection now so that I can extract the malware, and then we'll look at the sample amount, and then we'll start the test. Okay guys, so all the malware is finally extracted. So as you guys can see, the machines are clean before we do the test. Okay, so shouldn't be anything funny on the machines. So for the malware samples, we're only going to do 1,335. This is the latest malware of the last 2 days. Okay, I'm going to enable, or before I enable the protection, let's just make sure everything is up to date. Okay, Comodo is fully up to date, just still waiting for Defender. Okay, so Defender took its sweet time to check for updates, so they're all fully up to date. So I think it's time to enable the defenses. Okay, so it's just, sorry guys, the Explorer rebooted on the Comodo for some reason, so it's just still loading the icons. So I'm just going to enable it like so. Okay. Okay, so Comodo is green, it's happy. Not sure why the tray icon is not coming back, but I'm not going to worry about that. Comodo is good to go. Okay, so Defender is now finally green. I think it's time to rock and roll. Okay, so now that that little glitch is gone, so we're executing the malware. Okay, so they're all doing their thing. I'll let you guys know as soon as the test is done, and hopefully it doesn't take too long. Okay, so the tests are finally done. I'm just gonna quickly clear the containment folder. And then for Defender, I'm gonna just take actions on these malware so that I can start quarantining them. As soon as it's done here and Comodo is done with the pop-ups, I'm going to submit the files that haven't been submitted, reboot both machines, and then start the full scans. Okay guys, so before I reboot, let's quickly have a look at the machines. So according to Comodo, not really anything running in here that seems to be naughty. I'll just close that. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the startup items. Oh, these files here, I copied them to the desktop. The same for Defender, as I wanted to launch them from the desktop. Okay, so startup items. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we have any startup items. Let's look at Defender. So doesn't seem like we have anything malicious running anymore. Okay, so that's good. Let's look at our startup items. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 startup items. Okay, I'm gonna restart these machines and then we'll start the full scans immediately. Okay, and we are back. So let's see. Comodo is done with the full scan, so it has already cleaned the malware. Only found 210. So I think a lot of the samples are still going to be on the machine. Let's have a look see at the startup items. Okay, so no funny startup items still for Comodo. Defender finished the full scan. And we still have 1, 2, 3 startup items. Okay, I'm going to restart these machines and then we are going to jump into the third-party opinion scans, and then we'll finish up this test. Okay, and the test is finally completed, so let's see what happened and if there's any IOCs on this machine. Okay, so for Comodo, it seems like we have 1 year in app data local. It's a library file on its own. It's pretty harmless, but there is one file under app data. Let's see if we find anything else. Okay, so it's just one. The rest of the malware is in the malware folder, so we'll just close that. We'll look at Windows Defender. We've got 2 files here under the temp as well. Okay, those are exes. Okay, so it seems like we have 2 for app data for Defender and 1 for Comodo. Let's have a look here at Norton. Okay, so Norton says under user profile there is another DLL file, then it's malware samples, and then another one. For Defender it seems like we have 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 outside of our normal location. Comodo has 2. Let's quickly check it. It's under the user. It's quite interesting, so let's see. Okay, so it seems like there's what it's complaining about, and these are the files it's complaining about. Okay, so we have those files there. Okay, so 3 for Defender, 2 for Comodo. Okay, so we have 200 app data, and then oh yeah, these files on the desktop were the ones that I copied, so we can actually exclude them. Those were manually copied by me. I think it's going to be the same for Defender, so I'll just exclude that. And then we've got malware on the desktop in our malware folder. So obviously Comodo didn't remove as much malware from the folder as Defender, so clearly the signatures did not pick up a lot of them. Then it's those files, the same ones that Norton picked up. Okay, so it's actually 1, 2, and then 3, 4 according to MSciSoft. For Defender we have program data, it seems, app data, and then obviously malware on the desktop, and then the files in the documents, and then we have 1 registry key. Okay, okay, last but not least, let's look at Malwarebytes. Okay, location. Okay, so app data again, under temp, these are all the shortcuts, so I'm not too worried about the shortcuts. There's going to be quite a lot of them because there's still a lot of malware in the folder. Okay, so these are all the malware in the desktop still. It will obviously pick up those ones that were on the desktop, but I actually did delete them. Okay, still desktop. Okay, and then it's obviously those two again under the user profile, so not bad. These are just library files. They can't really do anything on their own. They need some help to get them going. And then under app data, and then yeah, so I would say maybe 3-4 malware bytes. The rest are just shortcuts. For Defender, we've got app data, app data, app data, app data, app data, app data again. This is roaming. That's roaming SVC host, so that's also outside of the normal locations. So this is not our temp folder. So quite a bit of malware there. And then now it's the malware on the desktop. Okay, and that's it. So there are some traces of malware on both of them, but not as bad as for the Comodo machine. Yeah, so let's delete these ones as well. Okay, let's have a look at our startup items and what Process Explorer has to say. Okay, so let's look at the results. Let's just quickly disable the firewall so that we can speed up the things a bit. Okay, so for Comodo, I can't really see anything as of yet. That's fine, it loaded. Okay, so it doesn't seem like there's anything for the Comodo machine. Let's have a look see at the Defender machine. Okay, and there are the services running for that sandbox, which I didn't show the last time or the beginning of the video. And that's it. Okay, cool. So nothing running maliciously for Defender. Okay, startup items. Comodo has no startup items. Defender still has 1, 2, 3 startup items. Okay, let's see if there's any damage to our documents. Okay, our downloads seems good. Documents, our documents are untouched. No additional file or leftover files. Pictures on this one seems good, and pictures on the Defender seems good as well. Okay, so I would say this is the end of the test, guys. So let's quickly have a look see at the pros and cons for both. Cons for Comodo, I would say it did not delete or pick up via signatures a vast majority of the malware. Unfortunately, it's only still 1,124 malware on this machine. They should be rendered useless because of the auto containment. They might leave a trace of a temporary file maybe here or there, but obviously all these malware were executed and the machine is not really infected. So, but that's a bad thing. It did not pick up nearly, I would say almost 90% of the malware via signature. So obviously it's the proactive defense, heaps and containment that protected the machine. Any other cons? There are some malware traces, but it's extremely little, and luckily the malware that's on the machine, it's only library files or things like that. It's not executables or MSIs or things like that. Pros, I would say really good proactive defense from the rest of the modules for Comodo. And luckily there's no startup items, there's no persistent threats. The files that are left, obviously they are in the unknown list here, so as soon as Comodo does give it a rating, Comodo will remove those files later on, maybe today or tomorrow or whenever. But those machines, I would say, won't compromise the machine itself. And yeah, so once again, good protection from the Comodo one. For the Defender, cons, I would say We do have a 3 startup items according to MSI's registry key modification, and Malwarebytes didn't pick up any registry keys, which is odd. It normally is the one that picks up these type of things. But we do have startup items. There are EXEs and things like that, and JavaScript files and VBScript files on the machine outside the normal malware extracted folder and your temp locations. So those malware can be executed and maybe cause further information or exploit the machine. So there's a couple of cons there. There's obviously also files on the machine. The pros, I would say, at least also no ransomware infection and things like that, like for the Comodo machine. Defender did also do really well. It seems like these new samples were a bit tough samples. As for both of them, there were some traces, but not nearly as much for the Comodo machine as for the Defender. And yeah, I would say this is the end for this test, guys. I think they both did really well, but I would say Comodo obviously is the clear winner here. No startup items. The files that are left on the machine can't actually do any harm. I actually just want to look at the documents files again. Yeah, so these are all just library files. So with them lying there static, they can't do anything. So the files that are on the Comodo machine, I'm not too worried about them. They will be later on removed as soon as Comodo gives them a verdict. But for the Defender machine, there is unfortunately EXEs and MSIs and other fileless scripts and things like that. So Comodo is the clear winner for me on this one, but they both did really well. Let me know what you guys thought. We are getting close to the end of the Defender test. I think I'm just going to do one or maybe two more, then I'm going to jump back into the pile of anyone versus anyone. So let me know what you guys thought about the video, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.